Welcome to Noble Warrior. My name is CK Lin. This is where I interview entrepreneurs about their journey to master their purpose, joy, and success. Today's episode, we have an innovator with 3 decades of experience in direct response marketing. He's been involved with hundreds of products, including some of the brands you probably know: Atkins Diet, Snuggie, Lean Mean Fat Grilling Machine, George Foreman Grill, and most recently has founded complexities.com to democratize access to prescription medications, and upswingpay.com to lowering credit card processing fees, and Complete Card as the rewards and savings platform. Please welcome Eddie Pham. Thanks for joining
Hello,
Noble Warrior.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Eddie, one of the things I want to get people started right away is I really love not only your prowess when it comes to product development, but how you speak so directly about your belief. You don't hold anything back. There's no filter. So why don't we start there? And how have you developed that? And how has that either enhanced your career or harmed your career in some way?
I don't think it's ever harmed my career because I am very forward. It saves a lot of time, and at the end of the day, I believe people respect that. I'm not malicious about it. I don't, there's no name calling. It's just let's get to the point. You're paying me to give you a finished product, so I want to do it as fast and as efficient as possible. So it's not about hurting feelings or anything. It's about you hired me as a professional, and you should listen to me when I speak. Not in the sense that I'm not being humble about it. It's just a sense of, you know, I'm trying to help you get your dreams developed, and rather than you telling me something should be this when I know it doesn't work. I'm dealing with that right now with an NFL, Major League NFL icon. He wants to bring a product to market, and he's still thinking of the '90s stuff. And I'm like, that's not going to work today. You got to add an app to your program that you want to use because people need technology. They feel closer to their phone than they will to you ever.
Got it. So, so tell us a little bit about the direct response marketing industry as a whole. Because here's the thing: you probably get pitches all the time. Oh, I have this brilliant ideas. I can really tell you unless you sign an NDA and et cetera, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is, oh, Snuggie, so easy, so simple. That's stupid. Oh, I could make something like that as well. So tell us a little bit about the industry as a whole, so that way people can get an idea what it is.
Well, the industry as a whole, I mean, people think it's just putting a commercial on TV that used to be 28 minutes and 20 seconds long. Now a long form is about 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And because people have lost that attention span to watch something for 30 minutes, it's not a show. And so we can say a lot in 5 minutes. I can say a lot in 30 seconds to sell a product. But the industry in itself is driven by data. Data is God. If you use it correctly, we know what colors we need to make, what product it needs to do. The air fryer is an old technology, and it was brought back by New Wave, and everybody has an air fryer. And the reason why there's so many different versions is because it wasn't patentable, and in everybody just made their own version. There's probably 100 different versions of 100 different brands, probably maybe more. You just walk down the Target aisle or Walmart aisle, there's at least 2 dozen different brands. And I think the air fryer is way bigger than George Foreman Grill was ever because, one, there was only one George Foreman Grill and nobody knocked it off until, years later. And two, you know, people just wanted that brand name and because it was the only one. Air fryer is a technology, it's not a brand. So I love the infomercial or the direct to consumer is what is called, or transactional marketing is what is being rebranded as, because every movement that we make is transactional. I'm a transactional person. I post something because I wanted action to happen. It may not be financial action, but it has to be an engagement of somehow. So if I'm collecting data or collecting your credit card or whatever it may be, it's an action. It's a transaction.
Okay, so the direct response industry is an really really interesting industry from my perspective, outsider perspective. It needs to be so simple that the generalized public gets it. but it needs to also be defensible so that way people can knock it off. When
Mhm.
people think about Atkins, okay, you just, there's a certain protocol you follow. Like I didn't even know you can turn it into a large company that way. Even Snuggie knock off Fugly, right? You mentioned in some other podcast you mentioned earlier. So why, like, how do you find that balance between such a simple idea but yet still defensible?
It's speed to market. Speed to market always wins. So a lot of times you don't need patents because if you have the money to back it up in media, in fulfillment, in logistics, you'll beat anybody else. So I always say, I mean, it's a very hard thing to say. You can have all the money in the world, have a great idea, and speed to market may not win because you know when we get to the product I'm working on now, there was companies 10 years ago that made a product that I'm working on today. They failed because they were too soon to market. They were too early. And timing, as we all know, matters in businesses. Like Uber would not have worked out in the 90s, but it worked out the time it came out because everybody needed a gig economy. So that's why I love direct response or transactional marketing because everything we do, we sit around. I sit around with my expert friends, and we talk about products that we can make, and just having fun. Hey, what if we did this? What if we did that? Like I'm a big coffee drinker, hot coffee, not necessarily cold coffee. So I always said, excuse me, let's make a thermos, like a high grade, like a Yeti, with a battery pack in it that heats your cup up. Not just in the sense of like Amber that's out there, and I love that company. I love his story, but in the sense that it can boil water. So, and my second favorite thing is ramen noodles, instant noodles. So, if I can have boiled water on the go with a battery pack, I would love that. So, I'm actually working on it. There's a couple Kickstarters out there now doing it, but they're failing and they've been in process for 2 years. And I support hundreds of Kickstarters, hundreds of Indiegogo campaigns because I love inventors. I love helping their dreams. And I reach out to them and say, hey guys, I see you're having a hard time in your post. Let me point you to somebody that can help you make your widget. So, and a lot of times I get my money back and they'll send me the product because I do want to help. It's not always about making money.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing I appreciate about you, man. I mean that's palpable, that's visceral, and you're always trying to help, and you have a, how do I say this? You have a kind heart but a sharp mouth.
Yeah, I do have a sharp mouth. Gets me in trouble every now and then. Depends who's
Yeah.
in the room.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you saying between the lines is not, it is about the product, but it's not about the product. It's about the speed of implementation. How quickly you can not only test out the ideas, test out what works, whether or not there's a demand for it, and then build up the infrastructure so that it's, when you scale quickly, when the numbers work, you can basically beat the market based on how quickly you can meet that demand. Is that an accurate reflection?
100%, yes. So we want to make sure when we bring a product to market that we have distribution. If it's going to go to retail, if it's going to go to a Costco, because Costco is different than retail. If it's going to go to a General Dollar, if it's going to go on a CVS shop, all those are retail forward facing, but they're all different executions. Costco is a very different execution than a Walmart. So I worked on a product that's been in Costco for 28 years. When I first worked on it 28 years ago, I didn't think it was going to work because I tried it and it didn't work on me. It's called Focus Factor, and it's a memory enhancement product. It's a pill, and Costco doesn't hold anything for 28 years if it's not making money. So obviously, it must work for a lot of people. That's what matters. It didn't work for me. That doesn't mean anything.
I see. So now, there's some limiting beliefs that I have personally. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. And so, in my mind, before I've done the research, okay, direct response is really good for physical goods, everyday consumer, vitamins or whatever the thing, right? Air fryer, this type of like home widget goods are really
Mhm.
effective because everyone, needs to cook something, eat something, etc., etc. But I had no idea that your start was actually educational info products, Kevin Trudeau's thing, da da da, right? So
Correct.
that actually broke my limiting belief a bit. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know info products is still usable or sellable with direct response channel. Can you maybe help me out and just elaborate on that a little bit? Is it
Yeah,
literally every and product is okay to sell via direct response, or there's some
I think
exceptions as
every
well?
product, every category of industry can be sold direct to consumer. So infomercial is a word that was made up in the early '80s, and it's been made fun of. A lot of the celebrities turned down big positions to be an infomercial product because of you know the humor it made. Now everybody wants their own product, may it be an infomercial product or not, but they want a direct to consumer product. So yes, I started with mega reading, mega math, mega spelling with Kevin Trudeau, and huge, huge products, and early '90s, and that gave us the funding to do tangible products. So I think anything can be sold direct to consumer if you can tell the story correctly in 30 seconds, 1 minute, or 2 minutes. Look at what makes a direct to consumer product is a call to action. So you see a lot of commercials that are like L'Oreal. They don't have to say where to buy it from. Everyone knows who L'Oreal is, or Gillette. You don't have to say Gillette.com. You don't have to say go to Walmart. You don't have to show any of those things because those brands are so massive. They're evergreen. Um, but a direct to consumer product is has a call to action, 1-800 number, a website, go to your local CVS to pick it up, whatever it may be. The chyrons will be on the bottom of the screen. So that's a call to action. That gives us a discount in media buys because it's a call to action, and also
Because it's
makes it
trackable,
transactional.
right?
Yeah, and trackable,
Yeah.
100% trackable because
Yeah.
we can pinpoint every dollar spent, like in downtown LA versus Nashville. We know which one worked better.
Yeah. Okay. So is there any product that's, not suitable? Maybe like an iPhone or something because it's so expensive? Like is price point an issue for like, oh
No,
yeah,
I don't
my
think
my
so.
thing is so top price, like,
Yeah,
it doesn't work for the response.
I just think the higher price products, like I have a friend making a helmet that's infrared that helps grow your hair back, makes it thicker, longer, whatever. Um, but and it's over $1,000. He has a direct to consumer campaign, very classy, very well done, and spent a lot of money on it. And there's an audience for that because even in the middle of the night when it shows, there's going to be an audience look at that and say, you know what, I'll scratch up $1,000 or $1,200 to get that. I don't think there's any category that can't be sold. I mean, you have FanDuel that's selling their app on commercials. You have
You
just
have
about
what?
every
Say that again.
FanDuel.
What's
Um,
that?
the gambling, isn't it called FanDuel? The
I
gambling
I don't
app?
watch
Yeah,
TV, so I don't know.
yeah, yeah. No, so I don't either. I only watch platforms. But yeah, FanDuel is a gambling app that it's an app that they're
Mhm.
selling on TV. They're pushing you to download it. So massive company in Vegas, and what's hilarious to me is that they're in Vegas, but they're not allowed to be used in Nevada, which is funny
Mhm.
to me.
Yeah. So not to drill on this too much, but I think this is an important part, right? So is direct response more like an impulse buy? Like it needs to people need to make that transaction decision quickly. Oh, I don't have hair. This thing could, if I spend 1,000, it can give me hair. Like
Yeah.
that.
It's a very it's heartstring driven or terror driven or informational driven. So you want to use one of those tactics to get somebody. So if the heartstrings would be, the hair growing back. Oh my God, I want to look like I was 20 again. Let me, buy this moisturizer that CK uses because he has amazing skin, you know, or
I
grow
have
my
been
hair
told
back.
that. A lot of people ask me on TikTok, like, what is your skincare ritual?
Yeah,
Blah, blah, blah. I was
what do
like,
you
what?
do? You have glass skin. Anyways, yeah, it's just you want to go after the mass consumers because that's what direct to consumer is. You want to go as many people as like you can because if I'm launching a new product, I am launching a new athletic product that's coming out, in the next month or two, and we're not just going to go after the athlete. We're going after the parents because they're the ones who buy it. They're the ones who buy the product for their kids. So they're football players or soccer players. They're whatever kids that will use a cleated athletic shoe in their sport. So those are the people we're going to go after because the parents have the credit cards. So we're going to make sure that that commercial is going to show in between the soap operas, in between Judge Judy, in between Judge Joe Brown, and all those shows that have the parents that are home at that time. So we're going to show it at dinner time, show it early in the morning, play it on the radio on rush hour. So we know the times to show and what DMAs to show it in. So DMAs will give us, what the psychographics, the geographics, and the financials of the consumers in that area. So every category is different. So that's why I said earlier, data is king, data is God, because if you use it correctly, you have a pretty good campaign.
Hmm, interesting. So as you know, I'm an expert when it comes to mental mastery, right? Anything involving the mind, letting
You
go
are.
of limiting beliefs, reinforcing positive ones, da da da. Just use me as an example. Like, how would you help me craft, like, hey, CK, here's a product you can make, and you can build out a campaign that way. Just
Yeah, I
for
mean, like
example's sake.
if like just what your expertise and your experiences in the mental health and just grabbing your Zen warrior and everything else that you do, I would put that in an app, playing the right musics in the background, the binary beats, and telling a story. Like, people like that stuff nowadays. Mental health is so important, and there was a long time I didn't believe in greater mental health because I'm such a stubborn person that I didn't understand mental health. It took me a long time. It took me years, probably 20 years to really understand it. And now I'm a big proponent for it. So I think with UCK and what I know about you as a friend is I would make an app, a SaaS model product, and it's mailbox money, keep it real cheap, like 1995, and one time buy, not a subscription model, and play the right get the right music behind it, tell the right stories, affirmations. People love affirmations. People love wish boards, all that stuff, and just remind them, wake up, you can do this, blah blah blah. So that's the stuff that I believe. Like, if I was going to brand you, I would do that, and I could probably build that all out in less than 10 grand and make you millions of dollars.
Let's go, man. But okay, I mean, okay, so let me actually double click on a couple of things, okay?
Yeah,
So affirmations do work, right? And because
100%.
it's repetition, right? Because you're programming your mind, your subconscious in a particular way. And meditation works, right? And binaural beats, these all work. These are all things that work. Question I have is, that's a really interesting point that you mentioned. One-time payment instead of subscription. Why one time versus subscription?
Because the way I look at it is, you get somebody to pay the $20, and regardless if it's 1,000 people or 1 million people to do that, it's giving you the income to build your next product, because now you have to build brand equity. Because one, not many people are Joe Rogan. You're not a Joe Rogan. I'm not a Joe Rogan. So you got to build your brand, your foundation. So once you get that first product out there, and I always say, make your first product your loss leader. In a sense, you'll make money from it, but then you're going to build up a war chest to make your second product, because now CK Lim has a bigger name. So now you can charge the 9.95 a month, you know, going forward. So, and you can do them at the same time. You can build your big product, but take a little piece of it and do it for $20 and start building your brand equity. And that's how I would do it if I was going
Mm.
to build a SaaS model for mental health.
So on that note, Eddie, let me, because we come from like different angles, right? I'm more of the high ticket offer, very
Hmm.
specific kind of people, very educated, aware, they're ready to invest in themselves. That's my approach. And but you come from the world of mass marketing, right? So let's democratize this, make it 9.99, whatever, super affordable, so more people
Hmm.
can come. What tell us about the tension between the high ticket versus the low ticket in your
I would
mind?
tell you the
How do you think
exact,
about it?
my personal example would be, like, I know your audience and I know you well enough. You're way fancier than me. And the way I
No
look
way,
at it
dude.
is,
You're too humble, man. You're too humble.
yeah, you want the Tony Robbins audience, you guys that are gonna pay, thousands of dollars to hear a speech, this, that, and the other. I want the mass consumers, because to me, my world is volume. So for you to get to the Tony Robbins or anybody in that realm, anybody with brand equity, you have to start somewhere. Tony Robbins was nobody when I met him in the early '90s. He was literally nobody. And at the same time, we had the same attorney, and he wrote his first book in our attorney's office. And I always, because there's pictures of him in our attorney's office, him writing the book. And I was like, I think I've launched more than Tony. Why are my pictures up in here? So we just joke. And but you have to start somewhere. So getting for you to get to that, the person that will spend $5,000 a month or even $1,000 a month, you have to have brand equity. You just can't come out of nowhere. And to do that, you got to build a war chest. Then you can rebrand yourself. just
Got
like
it.
Tucker Carlson did. He was not who he is today. You know, 20 years ago, he was not who he is today. So if you look up the old stuff, I would not have liked him then.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, again, you didn't say this explicitly, but what I'm hearing between the lines is about building credence platform.
100%.
Monetize with low ticket, and then build up the brand equities, the brand equity to become this person with the brand with the credibility, and then the higher ticket clients
Yeah.
would be
I mean,
easier.
it's perfect example of the atmosphere we're in today. A lot of people are running for office, the presidential office, and they're, good, bad, or indifferent. They spend a lot of money getting their brand out there, like their platform, tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to make that happen. So they didn't start from a small place because they just jumped into the biggest race in the world,
That's right.
and now they have to raise all this money. So
That's right.
if you were going to go after the Tony Robbins audience, um, you would have to spend tens of millions of dollars just to make a blip
Yep.
because they don't know you.
That's right.
And so that's why I say you got to start and build yourself up, and it becomes a hockey stick. It grows really fast once you have the numbers behind you because now, you have different levels of achievement. This is for the 995 guy. This is for the 59.95 guy. This is for the $999 guy. So, and people are going to trust you because you built brand equity over time. Not, one day you woke up and you wanted to run for president.
Yeah. Thank you. So let's segue to, because thank you for the mini
We
consultation.
can talk about your app after.
There you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's talk about filtering for ideas, because you mentioned many times in many different podcasts, personal conversation and otherwise, ideas are a dime a dozen. So as a product developer, your job is to find the gems to say, hey, I can pour gasoline on this fire, this little spark to, help them make money and make the kind of impact they want to make. What are the criteria for you when you evaluate hundreds, if not thousands of ideas?
So for me, I make it as simply as would I buy it? And a lot of my
You call
friends,
yourself the jaded consumer.
yeah, I'm a very jaded consumer because I've made everything that you can imagine. I know what things cost. I've been to 63 countries looking at factories making products all over the world. So I know the absolute cost of something or pretty close to it. And I'm pretty good as a consumer what I would pay for it. So as a jaded consumer, I look at whatever widget and say, would I buy this? And what would I need to tell myself to purchase this? So because there isn't anything I really need. Um, and you have to look at there's a need and there's a want. So, and it's a fine line to sell somebody the need. The want is much easier,
Mm-hmm.
the shiny new object,
Mm-hmm.
the cool new car, whatever it may be. So that shiny new object is much easier to sell than the need because people don't want to be told what they need to have. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you want people to know what they want to have. So that shiny new object is much easier to sell. So that's why a lot of commercials are, I always sell the benefits, not the features. So if you talk about the benefits of a product, how it can help you, subliminally people are listening. But if you talk about, oh, it's made of titanium, it's made of, sapphire glass, nobody cares. Nobody cares. They just want to know it's going to turn on and it's going to make a phone call or whatever the product is. So if it's going to fry my steak better, if it's going to make my French fries crispier, they want to know what the benefits are. They don't care what the features are. So I've learned that ongoing over 30 years.
Okay. So there's a clear need, and there are some ways to appeal to their desire, right? Their want.
Correct.
Is there a way? And then actually, before I double click on that one, I also you didn't say this. There's also a money making opportunity, and from what I know of you, there's also a personal affinity, personal connection. Is
Yeah.
that is that an accurate recap from how I know of you?
100%. I mean, I don't really, yeah, as a professional, I don't really look at products and say, you know what, I'll do this because I like the guy. I don't want to waste your time or my time. So, especially waste your money, because I'm not free. So my thing is, I look at it and go, can I really put this in the marketplace and help people? Like I'm working on an athletic shoe product right now that I don't play any athletic sports, you know, and so I look at it and go, this is a great product. This is a fantastic idea. I've never in my life played a cleated sport, football, soccer, baseball, any sport with that wore cleats. And moving forward, that's what made me better because I answered questions that weren't asked of a person who doesn't play sports. So, and keeping the product at a very low $20 price tag, um, I'm going to hit a bigger marketplace because when I started researching cleats, I didn't realize cleats were so expensive. So then you look at the baseball mitt and the bat and everything else that parents have to buy. You know, hockey would seem to be the most expensive sport that I looked at, and golf was up there. But baseball and soccer are pretty big sports. So focusing on those two sports for this new product coming out, it was a huge opportunity. And being able to get a patent on it was even better because now the big guys look at it and go, wow, this little company made a hiccup in our industry. Let's just purchase them because I build things to get acquired. I
Oh
build
no
things
shit.
for
That's something. So you don't just think about the top line revenue from the direct response, but you also think about the possible acquisition.
100%.
I
100%.
see. Uh-huh. That's interesting. Okay, so maybe you can share. I mean, I'm not an industry insider. So what are the economics? Like, hey, if I, for example, in Silicon Valley startups, they're thinking about 10x or whatever of the EBITDA, whatever. So
Hmm.
when you think about what goes into your mind, is it just let me make X revenue and then they're gonna do a 5x on it, pop with possible acquisition
Yeah,
partners or
each
whatever?
each industry has a different valuation number or multiplier. So my new company is a data company, information, and it's also fintech. So because I own a bank, I own merchant rails, and I own a product that will help a financial literacy, it exponentially grows my multiplier. So looking it up and talking to my mentors in the finance world, our company will be in the 30 to 40x multiplier.
Mm.
You know, that's not unheard of. I When someone tells me something, I cut it in half. I said, okay, let's use 20x. So at a 20x, I know my goal number to get an offer from an Apple or a Google because those are the guys who are going to want this product. Because Apple, Google, Facebook, they know everything about you when you're behind a keyboard, when you're on your phone. They know everything about you and their sister companies. They don't know anything about you in IRL, in real life. So when you're just walking across the street, getting on a bus, going into Target, doing whatever, they don't know any of those movements. So our new product will help with that and help, people save more money because of the platforms that we built. So I'm excited. You know, I built this new company to grow it exponentially, and we haven't even launched yet, and we already had two offers.
Wow, amazing. Congratulations. Early congrats, man. This is good
Yeah,
stuff.
thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a most people don't know this about you, but you're actually quite a devoted, spiritual person. So
I
how do
am.
you balance, one of the things that I teach my clients is finding soul market fit. Because most entrepreneurs they just talk about product market fit, right? Hey, is there demand? Can I meet the demand? Everything that we've been talking about so far. But we haven't quite talked about the soul resonance, right? Like why am I doing this? What's my purpose behind it beyond just making money? So can you maybe clarify for yourself, like how do you strike that balance between finding that soul market fit?
I mean, on the spiritual part, like I'm not a religious person, I'm very spiritual in the sense of, I believe I'm here because of a greater power, and what I do at this time on earth. I mean, I had great parents. My dad was Sicilian, Roman Catholic, hardcore. My mom was Buddhist. So I grew up in a Buddhist, Roman Catholic household. So I took the Buddhist side, as you can see behind me. Um, I, you know, I always believe that we all should do good for others and ourselves. You can, and just like when you're on a plane, make sure you put on your mask before you help somebody else. You have to help yourself first, and it's not a selfish thing. It's just like self help is not selfish, So I've learned that. It took me a long time to learn that, but and not everything is transactional. When it comes to business, I do look at it like I am blessed enough to say I don't really like this person, I say to myself, I don't have to do business with them. I'm blessed enough to say that. But if I really like you, I wear my heart on my sleeve and I will jump in the fire with you. If I'm going to invest monetarily or my time, or if it's a good cause, because, like when I help crowdfunding campaigns, I don't know them. I reach out, I email them, I introduce myself. I'm like, hey, I see your updates and your challenges that you can't get this battery made, or you don't understand what you need to do, and you're telling your followers and your supporters, and they're getting angry. So I reach out as a human being saying, "Hey, I can help you with that. This is what you need to do." And they're so grateful. I'm just a person that truly wants to help entrepreneurs because that's what built us well, is ingenuity, is individuals, just, helping each other as human beings. So I'm not any more important than you, CK, or anybody else. It's just the fact that I have a different skill set. You have a different skill set than me. And, I love learning. Like, I try to read a book a week. I used to read a book every week. Now I'm about 3 books a month. So I love reading. I love learning. And, I don't read Harry Potter's or, Twilight. I read real life stuff.
Yeah, you're one of the things that's really obvious for me from the very beginning, when we first met, is you're a very practical guy, right? You're deeply spiritual, but most of our conversation are like down to the brass tacks, right? Like, what are you gonna do,
Mhm.
and what are the tactics, and here's what you could do, and So, and hence why it's really cool to have conversations, because we can zoom out on the spiritual stuff. We can also zoom in on the material world, tactical things.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, quick question. This is a little bit evocative. Okay, so let me preface that before I ask this question. All right. So there's this debate about whether direct response product contributes to consumerism or making everyday life easier. So on the one hand, this is like a little bit of a criticism of the
Mhm.
direct response, and then the other one is the other side of it is, hey, we're actually just making our life a little bit easier, whatever that looks like. So how do you see, as an insider, how is it making that positive change for society?
Yeah, I actually agree to both of those, depending how you're asking me. So on the consumerism, yes, we move a lot of product, but making our lives better. So think about like the products, like remember Body by Jake, all of his exercise equipment, um, taking all these big equipments that you saw at a gym and reducing it down to home size and making it affordable. So that makes our life easier. Or taking an air fryer, or these new toaster ovens that do a lot of things. They do rotisserie, they do air frying, they do convention ovens. So it makes our life easier, and yeah, it creates consumerism. So I'm on the battlefield for both of them. I mean, I agree to both of them because when you make something easier, a widget faster, better, cheaper, people are going to buy it. It's just evident. So we use a tool of omni marketing to get it in front of as many people as you can. So when I do an ad, if it's TV, radio, print, internet, social media, influencers, and everything in between, that's an omni-channel approach going after everybody all at once. I'm gonna hit at least 65 million people. And I look at it, I back it up, going, I just got this in front of 65 million people. I need 10,000 people to respond. Out of those 10,000, I need a very small number to actually purchase, to click through. Then I know I can keep moving forward because that number just keeps growing. Because then I use those, because I love social media and I love review platforms. I use those, and I focus on them. So those people, and this as a tech person, we go after, if somebody really gave us a great review, we scrape their social media to get all of their friends and family, and we blast them with our information, like your friend said, so we let them know that this was posted, or we use your post and we just keep reposting it. So it works, and it's free.
Yep. So the effectiveness of social media marketing, digital marketing, I'm not questioning that at all. I totally get that.
Yeah,
The question was around the moral compass, right? The ethics behind it. Because let's say I'm not none of your products, right? But let's
yeah,
just say some other crappy products. They're
yeah,
very very good at digital marketing. They get the thing out there, and then it's pretty shitty. So they use it twice, and this thing breaks and it goes into the wasteland. Now we're
yeah.
just accumulating a lot of waste, right? So in your mind, when you think about that moral compass part of it, like, how do you think about it? Is
Yeah.
the
So
nature of the
I mean,
question.
excuse me, I've been a part of a lot of those products, and I question myself, like, why am I doing this? I mean, there was a time in the early '90s I did it because it was my job, and I made a lot of products that I didn't believe, I didn't stand behind, but they made a ton of money for the owner. So I'll tell you a perfect example. We had a product called hair regrow. It was a
A
concentrated
what?
shampoo. Hair regrow. It
Oh,
was called
hair
hair
regrow.
regrow.
Okay, so it's
Yeah,
the
that's what it's called.
benefits in the name. I like it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a
So
good
all
name.
it was a concentrated shampoo, without the fragrances and everything else. And it felt different. It felt more industrial, so people loved it. And did it grow your hair back? I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. Did it make $100 million? Yes, it did. And in the early '90s, that was a lot of money. It's still a lot of money today, but it was a lot more back then. And did I feel good selling it? It was my job. So I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't, it was a $20 shampoo that people got on a subscription model for. And that was before subscription models was a thing. So in 1992, when it came out, we had tens of thousands of men and women using it because they felt that it made their hair grow. And I truly believe that, the person yourself can really achieve certain goals in your body. Like if you hope is a very powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing. It's not a business plan, but it's a very powerful thing internally. So if you're using this product and you're hoping that your hair grows back, I truly believe you can wake up your follicles. I mean, that's just me being a mental stubbornness. I believe that you can control your body a lot more than you truly believe. So hope, in that aspect, is so powerful. Look at when people pray. They hope and they pray. That is a very powerful tool. I'm not saying I use that for selling products, but I've never sold a religious product in my life. I couldn't imagine selling one, but I know how I would do it if I did.
Okay, so
So
let just for fun, let's talk about that for a moment, all right? So how
yeah,
would you do like a manifestation product or like kind of like a faith-based, positive thinking type product?
yeah. I mean, a perfect example. I have a friend creating a crystal, different crystals. He believes that crystals have different energies, and I believe it too. But I'm not into it so much where I'm going to wear crystals all over me. Um, but he's selling a story that he's gonna embed the crystals into clothing, and it's gonna make you wake up better, make you. And again, it goes back to that personal belief, that hope. But he's really driving it on the spirituality of the crystal, where it came from, how it was made, how God's hand had to have made that, blah blah blah. But I think it's fantastic, and I mean I'm gonna help him, but it's not my campaign. I'm helping him as a friend, and over lunch, that's my payment. I get paid for lunch, and but I give him my input, and I love doing that every now and then. So to all of your listeners, I always tell people, if you want an hour of my time, take me to lunch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, Eddie. I really, really appreciate that. So, okay, so a little bit of a segue. Okay, actually, before the segue, what I gather is if it doesn't harm people, if it
Mhm.
offers a positive outcome, whether it's placebo effect or whether it's the actual product that does what it's supposed to do, these are basically your line of moral compass. Essentially, is that
100%.
accurate? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want people to get a benefit from it, in the sense of, what do we tell them why they're buying this product? So if it was to help their hair grow back thicker, if it was to make a French fries crispier, whatever it may be, I want to actually deliver that, because as the guy who gets on the plane to go to the other countries and watch the manufacturing happen and test the product, I want to make sure it works. And
Yeah.
and now with the laws that are so tight, I definitely make sure it works. So,
Oh, actually, okay. So I didn't know there are laws. So what are the
oh
laws?
yeah, I mean, you can't make testimonies anymore. Just because you put a guy in a white jacket, a doctor's jacket, and he says something, you as a consumer believe that that is a medical expert saying something to you. So our old friend Big Paul, when I first met him over 20 years ago, he watched an infomercial. Excuse me, I was at his house, and he was like, "Oh my God, that's FDA approved." And I was cooking in his kitchen, and I looked up at him, and I knew the campaign very well, and I was like, "What did you say?" And he goes, "That product, that diet pill, is FDA approved." I said, "That's not what he said." He said it was FDA lab approved. It's an
Mm.
FDA lab approved product. That means the FDA once used that lab or has certified that lab to be used for the FDA. The FDA never said they approved that
Uh,
product. That's what you heard. And he
I
was like,
see.
"Oh my God." So he learned something that day, Just because it's an FDA approved lab doesn't mean the FDA approved that product.
So you can use medical looking person to make some kind of, implied claim, essentially.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
see.
yeah. You
But you
can
can
you
have a
can you
consumer saying like, I used this product, it was amazing, this and that, right?
Correct. Yeah, you
I
can't,
see.
testimonies don't go that far anymore. They were big in the 90s, they were big in the early 2000s, but nowadays social media has squashed all of that.
Mm.
Because now I'd rather use CK's recommendation that this product worked rather than spending $10,000 to tell you this product worked. You are much more valuable to me and to your followers than that $10,000 I would have spent to reach your followers.
Oh, got it. So it's more of the kind of like podcaster or expert,
Yeah,
niche. What do you call those guys? Niche celebrity or
yeah,
influencers. The influencer
influencers.
campaigns works way better. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Because I use influencers. I have a lot of friends who are actual influencers, micro and major. I mean, my friend Ryan has 22 million followers, and all he does is product valuations. And I personally don't follow him because I'm his friend, and I don't like his videos. They make no sense to me because I'm an actual product expert. He's a guy who opens a box and says, "Oh, this doesn't leak."
Yeah.
you know? So I'm just like, oh my God, that's so horrible. But hey, you got 22 million people to follow him and he makes a living doing it. So I applaud him for that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay. So a little bit of a segue, right? We hear stories about how Spanx got started, or this lady Jamie Kern Lima, the co-founder CEO of IT Cosmetics. They use direct response as a way to help
mm,
them get started and all these things. A beautiful story. The struggle and the triumph. Amazing,
yeah.
right? If you were to help them do Spanx again, how would you have done it differently, or could that have alleviated their suffering and struggle, all that?
Yeah. I mean, I love her story. I love, because I love the entrepreneurial story and her resilience to not give up in a product that I didn't know was a thing. I mean, because I'm not a woman and I don't do drag, so there's nothing I need to, I would never have looked at that product. But,
Yeah.
um, that it was, you know, it was a need, women needed it and it actually helped. So people could relate. And, she seemed trusting, when she sold her product. So I've read that her whole staff is all females, which makes it help, good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is. It's a woman owned company. So I love her stuff. I would have just been able to explode it more in front of millions of people. I mean, she did it grassroots, word of mouth,
She
getting
did
it
it in
going. Because she,
Nordstrom or
yeah,
Bloomingdale, I
I mean,
think
she
it
did
was, right?
pop up stores, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
and so just take that pop up store where 1,000 people might have seen it, 100 people might have tried it on, and a dozen people might have bought it. I'd have taken that same pop up concept, using actual footage and selling that story to 64 million people,
Mm.
all at once, every day. And then people look at it and go, "Oh my God, did you see that commercial? Let's go look at it," and drive the traffic to Nordstrom's or wherever that pop up store was. So that's what you want to do. I mean, that's the power of media. That's the power of social media now. So if you use it correctly, you can really have a great CPA, your cost per acquisition, because that's the one number you can't control in anything. So you don't know, you'll forecast that, this cup will cost us $5 to get people to click through and to purchase. But something might go viral and it costs us nothing. You know, a message may not get across. It might cost us $20, cost per acquisition. So you don't know until you start looking at all the data.
So Eddie, here's an interesting thing, right? So I don't know, do you know Alex Hormozy, the teacher, the online guru that teaches marketing and making
Hmm.
offers and stuff like that? Okay, perfect.
I don't know him personally, but I know the name.
Right, but you know the name. So part of the teaching methodology is, hey, let's have you have, he call it $100 million offer. Basically, it's offer so good people feel stupid to say no. So then after that, do organic posts, right? Media and so on and so on. And then you scale that with paid media, because then you're not just throwing things in the fire and
Hmm.
hope that it's gonna blow up, kind of a thing. So as a paid media guy, do you agree with that sequence of events, or do you like forget about Yeah, like basically just use paid media as a way to accelerate the offer creation process.
Yeah, I mean, for me in my world, paid media is champion because it creates the earned media. So
Uh,
paid media, will get hundreds, thousands, or millions of people to buy a product. Then you're going to get the earned media because people are now talking about that product.
yeah,
So unless I'm an influencer or a famous person, you can't start with earned media. I mean,
interesting.
unless you're one of those two things, unless you already have a huge following, the earned media is already there. But I'm neither one of those people, so I have to use paid media to drive earned media. So earned media is way more valuable, of course.
Yeah.
But you can't get there even with big product, big brands. You look at Jake Paul. He launched his
Mhm.
drink.
Yep.
Great, and he's got tens of millions of followers. You
Sure.
look at Mr. Beast, who
That's
I'm
right.
presently going to be working with on my new product. Um,
Awesome.
these guys are untouchable, but they created their platforms. I love influencers more than I love celebrities because celebrities were created by a studio, by a
That's right.
by a big conglomerate. Influencers were created in their kitchen, in their living room, in their garage, by themselves with a dream. You know, so I have way more respect for them because they went through the hardships of growing themselves without money. Their investments were their cameras, their lights, their microphones, and their computer. And that probably was hard for them to buy at the time. But now, you know, like my nephew Jalen, he has 6.4 million followers. He hustled, he worked, and again, I don't follow him because I don't like his content, but I support him because he's my nephew. Um, but I earned media. I love earned media. I've never been good at it. I can fake earned media by using influencers and relationships that I have and make it look earned, but it's not truly earned because when something goes viral, you know how that works. It's exponential growth. And I would like to know who the wizard behind the curtain is that makes things go viral, or the same wizard behind the curtain that cancels somebody. I'm like, how powerful are you, or what tools are you using? Because as a marketer, I'm fascinated by those things. I read about it. I try to learn as much as I can. Earned media is just exactly what it is. It's earned. You can't control it, and making something go viral, you can't make things go viral. You just can't.
Yeah, I mean it's an art and a science, right? What's that
Hmm.
guy's name who wrote 0 to 1 million follower? He's also part of metal. I
Yeah,
forgot his name. But anyway, so he has a whole dojo essentially where he studies these viral media and then try to pull out the science, the patterns
yeah,
behind it. And obviously it's an art, so it's not like, hey, I just duplicate all these, my stuff is gonna
yeah,
go viral. So
100%.
it's
I mean,
both a
I don't
science and
think
an
you can
art.
put that in a box. I don't think you can. You can analyze it, you can subset it, you can look at it and cut it up and say, it worked here, it's not going to work here. I don't care if you're selling a Yeti cup and Yeti 2. I say Yeti because I love the Yeti product. I love that they came out with something that everybody already had and they made it way more expensive, way higher quality, and they built a community. So, and now they're a massive company. I love that. I mean, I think on a personal level, getting to the product development stuff, if you believe in a product that you can sell, you know, and your friends and family support it, not because they're your friends and family, but
They
they
like it.
like your
Yeah.
product,
They actually would pay it.
and they
Yeah.
they sell it, and then they see and people see it. You're starting to build something. You don't have to be this giant conglomerate that's at Walmart, selling products to be successful. I mean, I love Etsy stores. I'm just very new to Etsy, last 2 years, and I'm very personable. I reach out to the creator on Etsy. Like I buy a lot of leather goods. I love leather stuff. And I'm like, I write to them, I'm like,
Leather
this is fantastic.
pants, leather
Yeah,
underwear, all of it. I
yeah,
love everything.
all of it, all of it. And I just basically like I follow up and I'm like, I love what you do. I love your craftsmanship, and I just talk to them. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have my friend post this and what happens with it, because I do try to support people, good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
Some people are like, why do you care so much? Just because I'm a human being. That's why
Yeah.
you and I are part of metal. Like, why do we care about being better men? Because I say I want to be a better man, better uncle, better brother, better friend. Because I want to be around the same people that I want to become. So that's why I'm a part of an organization you're a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, gem on that idea for a second, right? You appreciate the community portion. You're
Hmm.
obviously very involved. You're a human. You're a people person. That's obvious, right? You love human beings. how would you use direct response to promote a community like
You
metal
know,
or others or
I
religious or
I know
churches or whatever?
I can exponentially grow metal by myself. You
Right,
know,
right. So let's like jam on
yeah.
that for
I
a minute.
mean,
Ideate a little bit.
I mean, metal is not unique in its own sense. There's a lot of men's groups. There's a lot of better health groups or better self groups out
Hmm.
there that's been around for a long time. I don't know them all. I only know metal. I love what they stand for. I love Ken and his crew. I love my friends that I made in there, including yourself. But I would take that, make a sizzle reel, and just keep playing different versions of that sizzle reel on every platform to get in front of as many people. They just started doing that. I don't know if you've noticed on social media. They've just started doing that because it works and it's actually inexpensive. If you, I mean, the editing is the most expensive piece, but if their whole crew does the editing in house, so as long as they can start growing that, which I think they should have done when social platforms were created, they'd probably have 100,000, 200,000 members all over the world. But the scamdemic really helped metal because it grew it exponentially because now people can become local because of Zoom. You know, that's the one. I mean, one of very few things that came out good out of the whole COVID thing is that people became closer in the sense of using digital technology. But metal in itself and other groups like that, um, I would do it like any other infomercial, direct to consumer. I would get in front of as many men groups, many men um, places that I could. Literally, starting at 18 and up, I would be all over them. So I'd buy data lists if I didn't have it already. I would scrape websites to get email addresses. I would promote. I would do banners on those websites. So I would just do it online, and maybe on some AM stations. So do you want to be a better man, a better human, better brother, better uncle? Think about metal. Come as a guest. Learn what we do. So see who we speak with, see who speaks to us, stuff like that. I mean, like just put the benefits out there of what it is. And
Hmm.
then, because we all know it, you get 3 Saturdays for free and some sessions during the week for free. And I love that, because it's not a hard sell. You can't come in unless you buy in. You know, that's the one thing I love about it. It's not a hard sell. And once you
Yeah.
get it and you truly, truly want to be a better person, you will join, especially when you go into breakout rooms and you meet great people. Like when I met you in person, I was like, one of the first things I said to you was like, when I talked to you online, I was like, wow, he's such a robot. And when I met you, I was like, wow, he's still a robot. I was like, are you a robot?
It's an ongoing joke, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
But
helping me being more human every time we see each other.
100%, 100%.
So, okay, so looking forward. So what are the future exciting things that's happening in, direct response industry, whether it's the AI or the video generation type things
Yeah.
that's like, ooh, I can totally clone CK as a robot and sell,
Yeah.
speak Spanish and Russian or whatever the thing. Like, is there anything that you're really excited
Yeah. I
about?
mean, AI, I'm a huge fan of AI, good, bad, or indifferent. I use it every day for hours a day. And
Like what
I learn every,
specifically? What like ChatGPT or some other stuff?
yeah, ChatGPT, Claude, and a few others. Oh, Microsoft just launched a new one that I'm using for graphics. And I like to learn. I mean, I love learning and I'm fascinated as a human being, as a person. I am fascinated how someone sat there and said, let's create ChatGPT. As a product guy, I would not have even known where to start. I'm like, my mind is blown when, like my bio that I gave you. I just put in a couple of things because I call my chat GPT Justin. I named him Justin. And I'm like, Justin, I speak to it so it types everything out and basically give me a professional resume. And boom, I got it. I read it. I'm like, I sent it to you. I've never had one. I have publicists who have them, but I don't have copies of them because I don't like to talk about myself. But here I am talking about myself.
Well, I mean, it's a great journey, man. So are there any specific things that you're really excited about? How to use, for example, AI tools to help you, be a better direct response marketer.
Yeah.
Is there any specific use case that you're just like, ooh, I can really see this thing, you know,
Yeah.
I
I
can
mean,
use
I,
it.
I think for me personally, I can only talk about myself. Um, like ChatGPT, as a perfect example, learns about you. I actually scared myself a few months ago because I told ChatGPT or Justin everything about my new product that's coming out, my new fintech card that's coming out. Told it everything, the schematics, everything. And for some reason, I freaked out for 10 seconds and I was like, oh my God, is this on the internet? Does everyone know if they ask Justin what the complete card is? Will he answer? So I called my friend. I'm like, hey, can you ask your ChatGPT what complete card is? And he was like, and he knew where I was going because he started giggling. He was like, Eddie, it's not on the internet. That's just your little world. I was like, oh my goodness. So I used it. I mean, that's a good thing that it didn't broadcast out all my secrets, but I use it for writing now. So I have to hire less writers for scripting, even jingles. It's made me amazing jingles. And because I give it keywords and I'm not a master of it because I've met friends who know way better prompts. I'm like, oh, give me a copy of your prompts because I seem to use the same ones that work for me. And maybe because they do different things. Like I don't code. There's no part of my life that I would ever code, you know. But I've learned to use Excel much better. I've learned to, to be a better writer. I thought I was a good writer before Justin came out. And so when I write something, I drop and paste it into Justin. I'm like, my prompt is make more concise. And I was like, wow, that's good English right there. So I love it. I mean, for any business owner, startup, I mean, veteran business owner, whatever, I think people should use it. Technology is there to be used, and we can learn a lot from AI. AI is just an amazing tool. Like I use it. I have another AI recipe AI, I think it's called. I just tell it I have tomato, eggs. I have this ingredient, and it tells me all these things I can make. I'm like, what? So because I love cooking, and I was like, I think that's just, and I do it just for fun. It's like that Food Network show where they open up the basket and they don't know chopped.
Yeah,
They don't know what's
that's
in the
right.
basket and they got to make something.
That's
It's
right.
just like chopped.
That's right.
I tell the recipe AI, these different things, and it gives me all these recipes that I could make, and I'm like, oh, that's fantastic.
Okay, so on that note, since you have a game with your friends, like what can we make? I can imagine you doing like a mini hackathon or a product development workshop or even like a dinner, right? Where you have a random ingredient, like here is the demographic and psychographic, and this is the age, and this is their spending habit, or whatever. These are the shows they like. What can they make? And they can use, yeah, everyone can use their ChatGPT, work in a group, and like come up with like 10 different product ideas, and you know, that could be
Yeah,
really fun. I want to be part
yeah,
of that.
yeah. That
Yeah.
would be fun. Yeah, we'll start a game night at the
Yeah,
house.
yeah, exactly. That, I mean, to me, that's like super fun,
Yeah,
That's
no, for sure.
super dope.
So no, I mean, I love technology and I am a nerd, self-proclaimed, and a geek. And so when there's a new shiny new tool out there, I did get on ChatGPT late in the game because I heard it in metal all the time, and a lot of times I don't jump on the boat when everybody's talking about it. I got on it less than, I would say, 8 months ago. It hasn't even been a year, and I learn fast. I'm a quick learner, so I was like, oh my god. I was like, this is fantastic. Why didn't I get on this years ago when it was there? So I don't know how
Yeah, the
much
best
better it'll
time
be.
to
Just
plant
like,
a tree is 20 years ago, and the next best time
yeah,
is today, right? So you're not late at all. I mean,
exactly.
in the grand
Yeah,
scheme of things, it's still super early.
yeah.
Speaking of Mr. Beast, you had mentioned him earlier. Did you know that he used AI as a way to speak Spanish in Russia now? Did you
Yes.
know? Okay.
Yeah.
So can you see that as a way to help you get into foreign markets? For example, let's say you work with an influencer, you can use this AI technology to help you make, localized media effectively.
No,
Is
I
that
I think
something that you're
because
excited about or no?
no, I'm very excited about because I'm an expert at the U.S. marketplace. I can sell just about anything in the U.S. I can't. I mean, I know there's bigger markets like China, Korea, Europe. I'm not an expert at those marketplaces. So with my new product, I am licensing those regions to local experts, local business people, because it's a banking product or fintech product. I'm using banking experts out there, and I love it because one, Justin tells me a lot of things that I didn't know about Europe, the Europe market. So I read it and I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. So when I have my conversations with my counterpoints over in these other countries, I look at it and go, I bring these things up. And because they're local, they forget about it because they live it every day. So because it's new to me, like when I learned to sell a product in Japan, I actually went to Tokyo, and I don't know if you've ever been there. Everything is in like blah 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 in your face. They think differently. They everything's just. I mean, we think we're on the go. Mm-mm. We got nothing against the Japanese. You know, they work harder than we could ever, but they play harder than anyone I've ever met. So it's two extremes. And so their signage is different. Everything is, I won't say everything is anime, but it looks like that. It's like boom, boom, bright lights. So I had to learn to create ads to sell in that marketplace a
Mm,
long time ago because I don't think that way. And
mm,
even then, I had to hire an expert to help create those ads, back in the mid 90s. So it was just, I mean, every community, every culture, every region is different. So you may think you know because you love Italy. You may think how to sell products in Italy. You don't know, unless you live there and you're the part of the culture.
so let's say if someone wants to either work with you or hire you or collaborate with you, what kind of, I guess, because when I think about this, I think in containers, in time, also
Yeah.
in investment, like buckets, right? Every bullet, it's like an experiment. So how many bullets and what's the container? What kind of things should they think about?
Um, First of all, I mean,
Or is
I
it
always,
like product dependent? So therefore,
yeah,
it
no,
doesn't matter.
I always ask the first two questions. You want to be rich or famous? You know, and it's a
Okay.
very honest question. You know,
Uh-huh.
every person I've ever worked with, I ask them, you want to be rich or famous? You doing this because you want people to know your name, or you doing this because you want a better life for you and your family? You know, the lie is always, I want to be rich. That's the lie.
Mm.
Everybody wants to be famous. Because
Really?
I've worked with
Really?
always,
No
always, and that's a
kidding.
drug I've never taken. I There's zero part of me that wants to be famous. I don't care if you know my name or not know my name. So almost, I would say, greater than 70% of the people I've ever worked with, they want you to know who they are and what they've made, and they get upset inside internally that you don't know that they're that person. So very few people have that self-esteem that I don't need you to know my name, because I did this for myself and my family and my legacy. That's a strength. Like, I've worked with very, very famous people, and they explained to me the drug of fame. I never taken it. I've never desired to have it. I know very famous A-list people I hang out with, and I can see they have the same look in their eye. Fame is real. It's a real drug, good, bad, or indifferent.
Hmm.
And once you understand it and what it looks like, then you know how to deal with it. Because it's amazing. You watch all these like The Voice, America's Got Talent, all these shows. I love those things. Are they doing it to have a better lifestyle, or do they want to be famous? You can tell somebody could come on the stage, they just want that 50 minutes of fame. You can tell because they have zero talent. And it was fun, and it was funny to them, and the show needs drama. But the people that are truly, you hear I love the behind the scenes stuff. I love hearing the backstories because we grew up in Chicago, in the inner city. We didn't know how to do anything, and we played the drums. This is the one I watched last night. And now they're a Vegas show. They didn't win. They Somebody in Vegas saw them. They're like, you know what? We can make a small show out of them, and they made a lifestyle, and they seem very humble about it. So stuff like that, like you, everyone lies. They want to be rich. Everyone, you
Mm.
know, because once they make the money, then they're like, what else do I have? How do you not know my name? Oh, I made this widget. You don't know my name? They get really upset about it. I've seen it. So
Really?
it's hilarious to me.
Huh. Yeah, I think the desire for Tony Robbins calls it significance, right? The desire for that
Mm.
self-importance, that significance. Um, it's a real thing. I think
No,
it's
it's,
very primal, right? Because we want to be
yeah,
significant, evolution biology, we want to be significant in the social status, right? The social strata. So we want to, people to know like, hey, we're high status humans.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I don't know why I'm opposite. I don't know. I don't fight it. I mean, it's not a fight for me. It's just a decision I made a long time ago. Like, I don't care if you know my name or not. A lot of people say, "Do you want to be famous enough where you walk in a room and everybody you never have to introduce yourself?" I'm like, well, that's just ignorant. I would always introduce myself. I would never assume someone knew my name, even if I was a keynote speaker. And I've been a keynote speaker for many places. I would still always introduce myself. It's just, I think that's an arrogance.
Yeah. But the original question was how long and how much should people think about if they're embarking on the direct response campaign? Is it
Um,
product dependent or is it just
yeah,
like, hey, general rule of thumb, you want this much money, this much time? Like, how do you
yeah. I
advise
mean,
people thinking about it?
I don't know that formula. Everything is it's not a cookie cutter to me. You know,
I see.
everything is different. So the 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 avenues of getting where people know your product may be all the same. Obviously, the message is 100% different. The product, you know, if it's this cup or a sports shoe or a sex toy, you know, how much money did it take to make it? How much research and development do you have? Do you have patents on it? So there's so many variables that, you know, each product is different. So there's some products I would tell people, you don't need a patent for that. Do you have money to go to market? You know, so that'd always be my first question. How much, what's your budget? You know, oh, I have a $500,000. And I look at it, I know the concept, and I'm pretty good at it. I'm like, we can launch this with a $500,000. Do you have it today? Or do you have to go get it? You know, do you have to raise the money? So obviously, it's not obvious. More money doesn't make it more successful. I think more money makes things less creative. I'm against more money. I really am because I've launched amazing things on a shoestring because I've been challenged every time. And I love it because it makes me think outside the box. You know, like now I'm using AI to write things for me that will save thousands of dollars because, you know, I know the key prompts that I need to put in to create a really good script for TV or radio or even online, you know, to promote like my new prescription platform. We wrote it, you know, a couple weeks ago. We've tested it and it's off the charts. I mean, only because you know we understood what the keywords were that people needed to hear, the benefits that it's giving, and all the features on the back end. Why it's better than the products that are on the market today. So AI is amazing. So that saves you a lot of time and money. You know, money is always a key because it's not endless. You know, less. I mean, even Elon Musk is not endless, or you know, um, there's you know time we can never get back. So when do you want to launch this? Like I'm talking to an NFL player, very big NFL players retired. They want to bring a product out before the next football season. I'm not a sports person, so I'm like, when is that next season start? You know, and they told me in you know it's like 4 months. I was like, you want to build this whole product in less than 4 months and get it sold before the football season starts. I was like, well, you're going to need, you know, at least $1.5 million. And that wasn't the issue for them. They're like, can you build it? I'm like, I could build anything you want me. I'll build you a weapon of mass destruction if you paid me. But it's just, you know, I have to find a marketplace first. Is it, and I would never just take someone's money. This is the most important thing. This is just me. If I don't know the marketplace, I won't take your campaign because it's just a failure then. I don't know football at all. Zero about football. You know, am I a fan of it? No, I'm a fan of the business of football. You know how much commerce it creates,
You're
how
a
much
fan of business. I
revenue.
got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it.
So I called my friends up. I told them the names of these guys, these three football guys, and they were like over head over heels. They're like, "Oh my God, those guys were so big. They knew everything about them." I said, "If they came out with a sports product right now to help you be a better football player, do you think it would sell?" They were big fans, and they said at the same time, "No way." I was like, "That's what I needed to hear." You know, no matter how much money you throw at it, it's just a different world now. You know, these guys were big in the '90s. They're reintroducing themselves because it was a 25-year anniversary of their greatness, and I was just like, guys, I'm like, I don't want to burst your bubble, but who knows who you are besides 50 and up? That's how I look at it. But
Mm,
that's not your audience. You're trying to sell to the, you know, the 14 to
yep.
18-year-olds who
Hmm.
want to be better football players. I'm like,
Yep.
you got to convince their parents, and their parents aren't even 50.
Yeah.
So it's a
So let's
struggle,
say,
and I mean, it was a reality check for them, and that's what I do. I mean, I give reality checks. I mean, it's my truth. I do the research before I say yes or no.
so let's actually segue to what you're working on. 'Cause one thing I know about you, this is again, let me know if I'm projecting this on you. You are really keen on democratizing access to whatever it is, whether it's medication or whatever the thing, right? So that's something I really appreciate about you. So you're working on a couple of things, parallel entrepreneur, which I love. That's amazing. I unheard of. I haven't met one, and now I have. Great. So tell us some of the projects that you're working on, why you're so passionate about them.
So, I mean, as an entrepreneur, I've always heard over the decades, people's merchant processing is so high, or they're getting shut off because they made too much money, or they didn't make enough money. So it's a very fine balance. Merchant process is like when you swipe, tap, or insert your credit card, or now using your phone to make a payment. So that is a big business, and it's a business of value. Um, I bought a company called Upswing Pay to become part of my bigger company, my fintech company. And the reason why I wanted it is because I truly want to help entrepreneurs, may it be the small mom and pop's pizza shop or the big MLM who keeps getting shut down because they make their money like this. So it's a fine balance. And I've learned from the outside as a business owner, you know, how to make sure that my mids or my rails don't get turned off because I'm making too much or I'm not making enough for the bank that month. So buying Upswing Pay, I focused first on going after the taboo industries, the cannabis, the CBD, the firearms, the MLM, the startups, online gambling, and stuff like that. Things that are taboo to most banking companies. I bought a bank to approve it. So we do the underwriting, we do the merchant processing, we do it all. So I'm building a true fintech ecosystem that is not going to get shut down because you believe in this president or these politics or that politics. There's no cancel culture in my company. You know, it's just about business. As long as you're not harming somebody and you're not making threats, just like any other, terms and conditions, um, then I'm not business as usual. So if you're selling candles, because you're an MLM or you're selling, you know, water that helps you get healthier, out of Utah. That, I don't really care what the product is, as long as one, I can help you stay open, reduce your fees. Because as a business owner, you're just excited that Stripe or PayPal or any of these big companies approved you as a startup. Like, oh my God, I can take credit cards now. But you don't really look at the fine print, how much it costs. Let's just say it's 2.9% for every swipe plus 25 cents for every transaction. I remove the 25 cents because I don't need that. And I start at 1.1%.
Wow.
So 1% is for Visa, MasterCard. You can't get away from that. You got to pay that. So anything above 1% is gravy to me. So that's why Stripe, PayPal, and all these Square, all these guys grew exponentially because one, they made it very easy to get a merchant processing um, service rather than going to Chase or B of A, which is a tool to get them to give you access or be approved. So Stripe, and I love them because the ingenuity of fintech made it much easier. But with that, you're paying higher fees. They say they're lower. Yeah, they're lower than Chase and B of A, but they're still higher than the mom and pop merchant processors like myself. I'm not a
Mm.
big company. I've only owned it for 2 months now, maybe just under 2 months, and already we're going to do 100 million this year in revenue.
Ooh, amazing.
So, and that's just with the business we brought in the last 2 months when I took over. So now, and that's a small number, like I said earlier, merchant processing is a game of volume. You don't make a lot of money off that. It's 1 to 4%. So it's a good business if that was my only business. You know what I mean? But it's not my only business. I have a big machine I got to feed.
Okay, so that's one company. So what's the
Yeah.
other company that you're
So
working
the
on?
other one is because I truly believe that people should have prescription medication. I've been in the prescription game since 1996, and we heard about Mark Cuban's Cost Plus. You know, it's wholesale plus 15% plus $5 plus $5. It's a great product. Mark Cuban's a good guy. He brought this to the mass public in the United States with 700. Oh, I think he has 800 prescriptions now, and each one of them is a line item wholesale plus 15% plus $10. That's your cost. Just to let you know and your audience know, the average cost of generic prescriptions is $9. That's the average cost. So if you're, and the average pill taker takes 4 prescriptions. So if you're taking 4 prescriptions, you use his model, you're well over my number. So I'm a one number, 24.95 individual plan. You get 1,100 prescriptions covered with no copay, no additional cost, and it's called Complete RX. Complete is my brand name, and I spell it QMPLETE, just so I can have SEO and I can have other things that I can own. So, and I like the letter Q. I don't know why, it just looks cool. So, I built a whole platform from ground up, working with all the PBMs in the country to get 3,150 prescriptions for free, you know, for one price. So if you're a family of 5 people, it's $54.95 a month for all of you to get all your prescriptions. You know, we don't have a cap on it as long as your pills are within our formulary. We have actually 21,000 prescriptions that we can cover, but the other 21,000 aren't free. It's discounted heavily because we negotiated with the pharmaceutical manufacturers to give you the industry lowest price. So if something costs $1,000 retail, it might only be $200. That's what Mark Cuban is doing. So he's giving you the negotiated retail price. Or the wholesale price, I'm sorry. And we did the same thing, but we have 21,000 other pills that we can have access to. But we have 3,150 that are actually free. And, only out of those 3,150, only 40 of them are like the mainstream. Your diabetes, your chronic pains, your heart pressure. So those are the ones that cover the 40, and those are the biggest pills in the world, and they're all free with us. And even your tinctures and your testing strips for diabetes. All that stuff comes with it. So I'm pretty excited because, I get really, I don't have any kids. I get really sad when I hear about school shootings and it's all mental health. And back to mental health is like, if that person just had help, if they just took their medication that they were prescribed, maybe they couldn't afford it, maybe they, fell off the wheel or whatever. You know, it's, I mean, we're in America, the greatest country in the world. Not to get political, but it is. We have access to just about anything. Good, bad, or indifferent. Does prescription pills cost too much here? It does. That's why companies like myself, like Mark Cuban's, like GoodRx, all exist because there are loopholes to get all these things, much cheaper. Mark Cuban made it very public and made it very famous that you can get your pills cheaper. And I'm going to use all of his advertising against him and follow because I think I'm good at what I do. Everywhere he posts his ads, I'm going to buy an ad right after. So when you just saw Mark Cuban's ad, let us tell you about us. So
That's good.
he may not
Leverage.
he may not like
Yeah.
it, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's marketing
It's
tactics,
commerce.
right? It's all
Yeah.
good. And you had a third one, right? The complete card. You want to talk about
Yeah, the
that?
complete card. So basically, I worked on a company called Plastic, PLASTC.com. No I. Sorry, I have a flea or something. um, It was a host card emulator. So host card emulation means you take a card and you put it into another card. It's just like Apple Wallet. That's host card emulation technology. Very simple technology where you can copy another account number into one place. So plastic, only coin, swipe. These were all cards that were on the market over 10 years ago, and they all failed. And as I said earlier, I think they were too soon to market. People weren't ready for it, to have one card with all of your cards built into it. Because I love Uber and all these, food delivery companies. They wouldn't have existed in the 90s. Technology was there. We had cell phones in the early 2000s. They exist now because it's a gig economy. We all need that. So in the same aspect, I'm building a card called the Complete Card. It's a card with the Apple Watch screen built right into it. It has all four radios of communication: Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular, and GPS, all built into the card. I'm using a Qualcomm Snapdragon chipset, very expensive, and all into a card that's no thicker than the American Express Mastercard, Platinum Mastercard, or Platinum American Express card. So 1.15 millimeter thick. You can still use it like any other card. And it's literally, I tell people, it's your Apple Wallet inside a credit card. It holds 1,000 cards. So if you have a gift card, CK, and you're walking into TJ Maxx, I think you're too fancy for TJ Maxx, but if you were walking into TJ Maxx, um, the card will light up or your app will light up and it will say, hey, you have a $25 gift card loaded in your wallet.
Mm,
It will remind you to use it
mm,
because
mm.
it's got GPS and geofencing technology. So basically, you know, it'll remind you to use your old gift card. So we're gonna hurt the gift card industry in breakage because they bet on you losing it or not using it. So in the state of California, they don't expire, and I think like 13 other states, gift cards don't expire, but we lose them. So now you're gonna have a wallet that you can put your gift card in. You can even do that with Apple Wallet or Samsung Wallet, but with our wallet you can. Um, my favorite thing is the financial literacy part. So Discover card is very good about giving additional cash back if you eat at restaurants. Some MasterCards are really good at that. So when you load those specific cards into our wallet, when you sit at a restaurant that's part of the Discover network, it'll say use your Discover card, you'll make an additional 5% cash back. It'll remind you because you've linked it to our wallet and whatever card you're using, or if you're going to a Hertz or a National Car Rental or a Marriott or a Hilton, it knows you're there and it says, oh, you get an additional day free or day rental because you're part of the complete network. So we've already signed up 3 million merchants to our network to give those exclusive discounts you can't find online. So I mean, we built a platform first because hardware wasn't available when I came up with the idea. The Apple Watch wasn't even on the market yet. So when I first saw the Apple Watch on a commercial, I knew it was coming, but when I actually saw it, I was so excited because I'm like, that's our display. So
I saw
we
the
went
what?
and bought, that's the display we're going to use. So the
Mm,
display that they have, the screen,
mm,
we went and bought a bunch of them, took them apart and said, this is it. This is it. The screen itself is paper thin.
mm.
Everything around it, the sapphire and everything around it is thick. So we don't need all that stuff. We just need the screen. So, and it's very low voltage. So it doesn't take a lot of power. The battery didn't exist yet. And thanks for Elon Musk, battery technologies come leaps and bounds. So now we have a flexible battery that can hold 15 days worth of charge. So you could charge it twice a month. But, as consumers, we overcharge things. You know, we, I never overcharge my laptop. I never charge it overnight. I never charge my phone overnight. Like, I don't know why people do that.
Oh, wait. You just what? What? What do you
You
mean
sh- you should
overcharge? Say more about that.
no, yeah, like when you leave your laptop plugged in all
Yeah.
night long, it's not
Yeah.
good for it. Or your
Really?
phone. Yeah, you need
Really?
to let it do its thing, because it's actually going to make it less less um, efficient, the battery
Yeah.
itself.
Wow. I didn't know that because you that's
Yeah,
what I do.
yeah, and I know everybody does it. I don't. So, I
Oh,
mean, the new
interesting.
phones and the new laptops, and they'll hold their charge, and when they shut off, they're off. You don't need to keep charging it. Like I'm generally never at 100%.
Uh-huh. This is mind-blowing information.
It's tech. I'm a nerd.
Yeah, no, this is good stuff. Hey Eddie, I really, really appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you think we should talk about I didn't ask you?
Oh no, I mean, I love this. Thank you for the opportunity, CK. And when you're ready to do your app, you let me know.
Oh man, you know it, baby. Hey, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge you, Eddie. I just really appreciate the sincerity and earnestness of how you're helping people. You help people from your heart. You help people with a very tactical way, and you help people face the truth. You know, you tell them what it is, whatever it is. You know, the uncomfortable truth, the comfortable truth. You tell them what that is. I really, really appreciate your taking your genius, your experience, in democratizing access to all these things that the three projects that you just mentioned. I think especially with the medication ones, that's huge because a lot
Yeah.
of people suffer because they can't access the medications that they need. So thank you for the work that you do. Really.
No, no, thank you. Yeah, I don't think people should make a choice that they should eat this month or get their, diabetes pills. You should be able to have both. You should eat better, but then you won't need your diabetes pills.
Mhm. There you go.
But no,
There
thank
you
you,
go.
CK. I appreciate what you do and your audience and just you in general. So, but thank you for having me.